talk a little bit about about beginnings, in the sense of pretty much everybody that we've chatted to, and everybody who's on the chat room who's a writer, everybody's got a unique starting point, and it's I always find it fascinating then how that sort of determines the curve and the arc of your sort of journey through composing. And I know, Millie, in a way, you're am I right in saying that it was sort of EPs first, and like Arms and things like that was that the first music that you were commercially releasing, and that was the top of sort of the top slice of lots of things that you'd done before, but that's when you gave yourself permission to do it?
Yeah, it was kind of, so I did Arms, and then I was also releasing some music as Slow Moving Millie, as a kind of singer-songwriter. But that was, I think it was almost like a kind of side project, and then the stuff that I was releasing as Amelia Warner and the EPs and stuff was the kind of music that I really wanted to make. And then through my second EP, was called Visitors, and a director heard some of the music from that and was interested in using it for a film, and then it ended up kind of that I just wrote the score around that existing piece. And before that, I had already done a few. I've been doing some commercials, I've been doing some shorts, and so I knew that writing music to picture was what I wanted to do, and where I kind of felt the most excited and comfortable. And but it was a slightly strange path.
And have you found that having initially sort of established yourself with that artist, sort of putting out some music into the world that was in your voice, then because some of the artists that we've had on feel that they don't get offered the wider range of projects because they sort of exist in people's minds as this sort of narrow artist without the range. But then people who've come up through the traditional film and TV composer route feel that they haven't got a voice, they've got too wide a range, and they can't sort of speak as an artist. Do you have an eye for how you'd like things to go over the next few years? Are there genres that you haven't done that you'd like to, for instance?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think there's benefits, and then also always a downside to. I think it's nice to have a sound and a signature sound, and something that people think of you when they hear something, or they think I think that can be quite a useful thing, to have something that's quite definitive, and kind of distinctive. But then obviously you don't want to get pigeonholed into only doing that same sound again and again. So yeah, I mean, I think I just hope that I would get the chance to do all sorts of different genres, and actually felt quite lucky to do when I did Mary Shelley, because it felt like that was a bigger orchestral kind of movie, and I got the chance to show it, I think, a different side to the more kind of simple piano stuff that I'd done up until then.
Was it a gear change in lots of practical and sort of should we say emotional resilience ways? Was it a tough gig or a dream gig?
Yeah, it was. It was both. It was a dream gig and it was a tough gig, and it was one of those weird things where creatively I felt very sure of what I wanted to achieve, and I had a very clear vision of it, but the execution was really tough. And even like I remember the first, because I'd only done one film before that, and even just the initial kind of sending stuff to the editor and not even knowing how to label it, and him kind of saying, it would really help if you wrote that, just really, really simple things that I was doing so wrong. So it was, a real learning curve, but I did luckily feel really confident in what I was writing and in how I wanted it to sound. It was just kind of getting it to that point, and also getting the people that I was working with to imagine what that would be, and to have to kind of sell the idea when I didn't necessarily, because it was hard to imagine, for them to imagine what it was going to be.
Definitely. John, do you think that you've had